Okay guys, we're going to continue and we're moving on to our simple mayonnaise recipe. And for those of you who have the cookbook, it's in our 7 Secrets cookbook. And I'll give you the page number. I believe it's 57. Simple mayonnaise recipe. And I know you guys had this recipe not too long ago, last week in fact, and we use this as a salad dressing. But we're going to make it and make a different dressing with it. Okay, so we're on page 57 of 7 Secrets. We're making a simple mayonnaise recipe. And I'm going to read the recipe as my mom adds everything to the Vitamix. You will need a good blender for this. You will need a Vitamix or some other powerful blender. I suggest a Vitamix because it's pretty easy to travel with. We have a case. You can get the case with it, and it comes with the little spatulas and cutting boards, so you're pretty set when you have the Vitamix. Okay, it calls for a 12-ounce box of Morinu silken tofu. Now we're doubling this recipe, so we're using 2 of everything. We're doubling everything. Now, with this recipe, the silken tofu, the silken Morinu tofu works best. There are 2 different types of tofu. One that comes in a box like this. This is a silken tofu, and when you have this in the box, this can pretty much stay on the shelf for a while. If you open it though, you'll have to use it right away or store the rest in water just to keep it. This is a silken tofu. You can use this in any creams that you want to make, any sauces. Some cheeses call for it, some recipes call for it, but anything that you need a creamy consistency for, this is the one you would use. There's also a water-packed tofu that comes in a container with water in it. It's in a block. That one you can slice up and make baked tofu with. You can also use that in recipes. You can make scrambled tofu from that one. So for our recipe for the simple mayonnaise recipe, you would need to use the silken tofu, this one. Okay? So this one, we use a firm. The question was if this was a firm or the soft. They come in soft, medium, firm, and extra firm. I always go for the firm because the thing with tofu is, especially the silken tofu, the more water it has in it, the softer it is. So the firmer tofus have less water in it. If you want it a little softer, you add a little bit more water. But I try to stick with in between, something in between, not the extra firm, but the firm. And I don't see the soft a lot because people normally would use the firm or the medium, but I have seen the medium. I don't see the soft too much, but then the firm is probably the most popular one. So we use 2 containers of that, and then the next one is 1 cup of raw cashews. And I always tell my people to wash their nuts. Wash your nuts. You wash them, you rinse it off, you dry them, and you can use them. If you want to wash them beforehand, you can, but I always wash it right before I'm about to use it in a recipe. Nuts are pretty dirty. You're not sure where they've been and what they've been through, so wash your nuts. We wash our rice, we wash our pumpkin seeds, and you'll be surprised what comes off of them.
With rice, as you're washing it, the ones that float, throw away.
Okay, Handel just gave a good comment. He said with rice, when you're washing it, whatever floats on top, the grains that float on top, you throw it away.
Why is that so?
He's lived
Critters.
in
I've lived in Korea before.
He's lived in Korea, so they know about rice over there, so I'll take his word for it. And what did you say the reason for that was?
Critters.
Critters. Are they inside of the grain?
Usually.
Okay.
Because the density is less because they leave their eggs in there. And, yeah.
Oh, he said that the density is less because they have their eggs in there, so when it floats to the top, you throw it away. I'm going to do that. I like that. Thank you. Okay. Then we have some lemon juice. This is a 1/4 cup of lemon juice. Of course, we doubled it, so it's a 1/2 cup. Then the next ingredient is 1½ tablespoons of honey. So it's 3 tablespoons in here. Yes, that's 3 tablespoons since the recipe is doubled. Did you spray? Yes, I did. And one tip for getting honey out of a container really easily, spray it with a little cooking spray and it slides right out. Especially if you're using a glass container, it slides right out. It's a good way to get honey out real quickly. Yeah. It also calls for 2 teaspoons of salt. And the last thing is 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, and the powder, not the granulated. The powder, not the granulated onion. And that was sea salt. That was sea salt. 1 teaspoon of onion powder. Now we're going to blend this up. It might take a minute to blend, but we're going to put it on and we're going to go from there. Now the Vitamix is pretty powerful. Now there's not a lot of liquid in there. To get stuff blended real quickly, you need a lot of liquid in it. Let's see how this does.
Do not take a knife. I don't have no other thing to know. I don't have.
She doesn't have a spatula
to use, so that's why I had to push it and don't take it. Especially this powerful machine. But it's like my second arm. How I use them so often, and it's wrong. So I had to do that for this particular thing, and I'm sorry I had to do it in front of you people, but I have to have something done.
Okay, so we're gonna make, next is the minced onion dressing. And that is in our Tasty Vegan Delights Cookbook, page 75, minced onion dressing. Now I tell you, my husband tried this dressing one time and he came home, he was like, babes, because that's my name, it's not Erica. Babes, I've tried the best dressing, you have got to make this dressing. I was like, oh, okay, I'll try it one of these days. Well, I finally decided to try it, and this is like the only dressing that I use. I mean, I love it. It's really good. I spread it on my bread. Like, it almost tastes like Miracle Whip. That's what it almost tastes like. With me, it tastes better. Okay, so we're going to make our minced onion dressing.
But before we make that, we're going to make some garlic salt.
Okay, we're going to make some garlic salt before we make the minced onion dressing. So you can kind of see how we make our salts. Now with our salts, I'm going to make sure I get the camera right there. With our salts, we use a 3-to-1 ratio. You're going to use 3 tablespoons of the powder, whether it's onion powder, garlic powder, celery powder, 3 tablespoons, and 1 tablespoon of the salt, or whatever measurement you're using. If you're only using a teaspoon, it'll be 3 teaspoons to 3 teaspoons of the powder to 1 teaspoon of salt. You can even do a 1/4 cup or whatever, but for today, we're going to be using a tablespoon. So we have our onion powder, garlic powder right here. We're making garlic salt. We're going to use 3 tablespoons of garlic powder. See, can you get that for me, Mom? I think with the gloves on, it's kind of hard. Thank you. So 1, 2, 3 tablespoons to 1 tablespoon of the sea salt. And this is the sea salt we use, the Redmond sea salt. This sea salt has iodine plus trace minerals. So it's pretty much the best sea salt you can get on the market.
Where do you get
Redmond's sea salt. I think we got this one at...
The ABC here.
Oh, we got this at the ABC.
The ABC has a little bottle like this for like $4 or $5.
This
can
salt?
get that in
This is $6.
Can you get this in Trader Joe's?
not Trader, but
$6.79.
Whole Foods.
not supposed to do everything.
Okay, I think my mom got this one at the ABC.
ABC.
Yeah.
She got this big bag at the ABC. Maybe they decided to bring the bigger ones in. And this is more economical if you're buying the small ones for $4. Yeah, this one, and this will last a while because we cook a lot.
We
And
buy
that
the
one lasts a
25-pound
while.
bag of this, the 25-pound bag.
Wow.
And we use these containers because we travel a lot. And we pull them and take them wherever we go.
So you just mix up your powder and your salt. and you have your garlic salt or your onion salt or whatever. It's pretty simple. So we normally make our own because we know exactly what's in the salt when we make it that way. Okay, now for our minced onion dressing recipe, we're going to use a bigger bowl. Okay. Now it calls for 1/2 cup of the tofu mayonnaise. I'm going to make 4 recipes of this so everybody can taste some tomorrow. Now you'll see how thick this is. This is pretty thick. This is our tofu mayonnaise recipe. So this is 1 cup. Kind of running out of space here. And then I'll get 1 more cup, Mom. And that'll be our 4 cups, 4 recipes. Thank you. So we're making 4 recipes of this. I can use that, yes. I'm not gonna scrape too much though. Okay, now to that, you're gonna add, 2 tablespoons of dried onion flakes. And the dried onion flakes are just little pieces of onion that they chopped and dried. See, this is what it looks like. 2 tablespoons of dried onion flakes, or you might find it in a store and it says minced onions. Either dried onion flakes or minced onions. Then you have 1/2 teaspoon of garlic granules. And then it calls for our garlic powder that we just, garlic salt that we just made, 1/2 teaspoon. So we're going to actually put in, since we're making 4 recipes, we're going to put in 2 teaspoons of this. Yeah, 1/2 teaspoons. Okay? And the last ingredient is 1/8 teaspoon of Italian seasoning. 1/8 teaspoon of Italian seasoning. Now all you do with this is mix it together. And the mayonnaise is gonna soak up and hydrate the onions. And it's gonna be nice and tasty. Now it might be, after a couple days, it might get a little thick. But just stir it in and keep going with it. This doesn't last a couple days in our house. But I want to show you what it looks like. Does it look good?
So what is it now?
Minced onion dressing.
And you put that on salad?
You can put this on your salad. Yes, it's a dressing.
Or it's for burgers or something?
It's for salads. Anything with potatoes, burgers.
Smells good.
Yeah, it tastes good too.
Oh.
So you already have that tomorrow. We leaving all this stuff that's going to happen.
So you guys will get some of this tomorrow. So this is our
You'll
minced
get some
onion dressing
tomorrow.
recipe. Any questions about that one? I know you wanted something, you were
It's
saying
fine.
something that you needed some other part of it?
Yeah, I didn't get all the ingredients.
Okay, we'll get with you afterwards, okay? Now, we're gonna just take this back, and we have our last recipe coming. What page is this one in the book? That one is on page 75, I'm sorry. Page 65.
Who's going to be here tomorrow?
Now this is our last recipe. And remember I told you guys I'd like for you to have something tasty, a dessert, a treat at the end of your meal, or at the end of your cooking school. This is the recipe I like to make the most at the end of my cooking school because it's so easy to make. Now this one really requires a skillet. So that would be a good investment for you. And it's not very expensive. If you go to Walmart, you can get a pretty good skillet for maybe the most $25. And you just plug it in, you turn the heat up. I think the most it can go to is 400 degrees. And you can cook everything right there in front of everybody. With this particular recipe, you have to heat the first couple ingredients on the stove. And there are only 3 ingredients in this recipe. Only 3 ingredients in this recipe. Yes, it's very easy and it's very tasty. Let me tell you what the 3